It was a little after midnight when the old pickup truck bounced down a flooded gravel road deep in the Louisiana bayou. Spanish moss hung like dead men's fingers from the cypress trees, scraping the roof as they drove. "Ty, this is insane," Malik said, wiping sweat from his face even though the AC was blasting. "We were supposed to hit New Orleans for ghost tours and crawfish, not chase some backwoods legend at 1 a.m. Where you taking us, man?" Jamal kept both hands tight on the wheel, eyes locked ahead. "You wanted real, right? Not that tourist bullshit. This is real. They say if you want protection before you step foot on the old Rougarou Plantation, you gotta pay the bayou tax first." The truck stopped at the edge of black water. A half-sunken wooden dock led into the swamp where flickering lanterns floated in a circle. Several figures stood waist-deep in the murk, their faces painted with white clay and red ochre. Malik's voice dropped to a whisper. "Bro, I'm not feeling this." Jamal was already walking toward the water. The figures were root doctors, the last keepers of the old ways brought over centuries ago and twisted with something darker. One old woman with bones braided into her hair stepped forward. She studied Jamal like she already knew why he'd come. "You want the sight," she rasped. "To walk the plantation grounds after dark and live. Then you must eat what the bayou gives." She pulled a small iron pot from the water. Inside was something thick, dark, and still moving slightly. The smell was rotten earth and copper. Jamal took the wooden spoon without hesitation. Malik watched in horror as his friend ate. When Jamal staggered back to the truck, he was pale and vomiting into the reeds. "What the hell did you just consume?" Malik shouted. Jamal wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "They're descendants of the man who cursed the entire plantation in 1852. That meal binds their protection to you. Now we can go. The spirits won't touch us." Rougarou Plantation stood rotting at the end of a long oak alley, its columns cracked and its grand ballroom open to the sky. Abandoned since the Civil War, locals said the land itself was hungry. They climbed through a broken window. Inside, the air felt thick, like breathing through wet cloth. Flashlights revealed peeling wallpaper covered in strange symbols scratched by fingernails. "Tell me the story properly," Malik whispered as they moved deeper into the house. "So I know what we're actually dealing with." Jamal's voice was low and reverent. Henri Baptiste wasn't just a plantation owner. He practiced the old dark arts, fell obsessively in love with his wife's younger sister, a beautiful Creole woman named Evangeline. When she rejected him and threatened to expose his rituals, he decided no one else could ever have her. One blood moon night, he came out here to the family cemetery behind the house. He drew a circle with graveyard dirt mixed with his own blood and summoned something that wore the face of the dead. He had a silver locket that belonged to Evangeline. He cursed it so whoever wore it would belong to him in body and soul. When Evangeline smashed the locket in front of him, the entity turned on Baptiste, but not before he screamed his dying curse. "If she will not be mine, then this land will take everyone who steps upon it. The living will feed the dead forever." They reached the master bedroom where the circle had once been drawn. Faint markings were still burned into the wooden floor. Jamal stepped directly into the center. The temperature dropped so fast their breath fogged. The swamp sounds outside went completely silent. Then the whispers started. Hundreds of voices at once. Jamal's body convulsed. His eyes rolled back, then opened completely white. A voice that sounded like wet gravel and buzzing flies came from his throat. "The debt must be paid, you open the door." Malik screamed his friend's name. For 1 second Jamal's real voice broke through. "Run! It's inside me now." Back at the cheap motel on the edge of the bayou, Malik couldn't sleep. At 2:51 a.m., he heard scratching under the bed. He looked. Jamal was crouched there in total darkness, eyes pure white, carving the same floor symbols into the carpet with a broken shard of mirror, using blood from his own palms. "Jamal, snap out of it." Jamal lunged forward with unnatural speed. Malik barely escaped the room. He remembered the old woman's words. The meal was supposed to protect him, but Jamal had gotten sick and thrown most of it up. He drove desperately back to the swamp. The root doctors were still standing in the water, waiting. The old woman didn't look surprised. The binding failed. Baptiste has your friend. Take this red cord. Tie it on his wrist before sunrise, or that body belongs to the entity forever. Malik raced back. The motel room was trashed. Bloody symbols covered the walls. Then he looked up. Jamal was clinging to the ceiling like an insect, neck bent at an impossible angle, grinning with blood between his teeth. Malik's hands trembled as he tied the cord around his own wrist instead.
I'm sorry, bro.
I didn't sign up for this. He ran for the truck. 10 miles down the dark bayou road, words appeared in the condensation on the inside of the windshield, written by a finger that wasn't there. Your turn to pay. The steering wheel jerked violently. The truck swerved off the road and plunged straight into the black swamp water. They say the Rougarou Plantation still collects its debts. Once you go looking for the old powers, curiosity signs the contract. Some doors only open one way. If these stories of cursed American soil and things that should stay buried keep you up at night, subscribe to Eerie Narratives right now and turn on post notifications. The next one might be closer to home than you think. Comment below. Would you have eaten from the bayou pot? Or would you have left your friend and run immediately? Be honest. The shadows are listening. Stay vigilant. Stay alive. Eerie Narratives, where the legends are real and the price is always blood.